We'll get into this final segment. This one's a very interesting segment because there's a lot of players, obviously, on this roster, but you can only keep 53 of them. And every year there are surprise cuts around the NFL. And so we figured an interesting thing to talk about would be who would be the biggest name on the Ravens to not make the roster this year. And this isn't a full-on prediction, yeah, this guy's not going to make the roster. But who do you think is like the biggest guy that might not make the roster? Not in terms of size and weight, but in terms of value of name, in terms of biggest. So I don't know, Joshua, why don't you go first? Who could be the biggest name on the Ravens that doesn't make the team this year?
Honestly, man, we've been talking about it, and, I'm all for my middle linebackers, especially my young guys. So I'm going to say LJ Ford does not make the team this year. I know people was very hurt and upset, when we first let him go, then we signed him back, that was a sign of relief. Understand this, everybody. LJ Ford is a sound guy. He's a fundamental guy. He makes good tackles, and he makes good decisions. I love him for what he does. I love him for what he brings to that middle. But there's someone behind him in the wings from Ohio that went to the Ohio State University. And I'm not gonna say he's smarter, but he's a wrecking ball, and he knows how to cover in the pass coverage, and he doesn't mind going up and wrapping up in the run. I mean, hell, he stood Derrick Henry up, if y'all don't remember. And I'm talking about Mr. Malik Harrison. I'm not going to say he's better than Patrick Queen. I feel like him and Patrick Queen is on the same level. Patrick Queen just has a higher name. He went to LSU, So honestly, if it came down to it, I could if Malik Harrison got more opportunity to get on the field, we actually would see him with the mic and the helmet, in my opinion as well. Of course, Patrick Queen and Malik Harrison, when you watched that gameplay last year, PQ made a lot of mistakes. Malik Harrison made a lot of mistakes. PQ made up with just his straight up athleticism. But Malik Harrison, when you watch him, he flows to the ball. He reads. He knows how to get off those linemen and stuff like that. It's just something about him where you can see him being a starter in the NFL and being, one of those household names. I feel like he could be a top 10 middle linebacker in the years to come. So I definitely see him taking LJ's fourth spot.
That's an interesting one. I think that's relatively possible, and which may be upsetting for a lot of fans, but you and I have both been a big fan of Malik Harrison ever since he was drafted. Mm-hmm. So, I do like that one. Mine may be, people really may not like this. I really don't like this. I'm a massive fan of this guy. I've been hyping this guy up for so long. I want him to make the team. I want him to be an impact player on the team.
Uh-oh.
My answer is Dalen Hayes. I know. I love Dalen Hayes. I really think he can be a very special player on this Ravens team. However, the Ravens are in need of edge rushers. We already have a player that is similar to Dalen Hayes in terms of ability in Tyus Bowser. Mm-hmm. We need that edge rusher. Obviously, we have Odafe Away. We have Pernell McPhee. We have Sack Daddy Jalen Ferguson. And then it's like, okay, then we have Dalen Hayes. And I would probably say right now Dalen Hayes is probably the lowest level in terms of on the roster spot out of all those guys. I feel like the Ravens want Pernell McPhee.
He's in there with Chauncey Rivers too.
He's lower on that spot. And then what happens if somebody gets cut from another team and they're an edge rusher? Or we go out and we're like, all right, season's about to start. We do need this edge rusher. There you go. It doesn't even have to be Justin Houston. If it's Olivier Vernon or even like Everson Griffin, mm-hmm. That could be the move that bumps Dalen Hayes off the roster, which would be so horrible. I really want Dalen Hayes to be on this team. I really think he can be better than, even like Tyus Bowser. Really think he can be special. I really think he can also take the mic. I think he's a great leader. However, as of right now, he's the lowest on the totem pole. And if we add in another piece, I think he's going to be that last man out or that first man out. I don't know which way the term goes, but Dalen Hayes would be my kind of biggest name that may not make the team, even though he was maybe my second favorite draft pick that the Ravens made this year. Like, I was really, really high on that pick, and I loved that pick. Really hope he makes the team, but if the Ravens sign somebody, he could be gone. Now, at the same time, if the Ravens sign somebody, doesn't mean automatically it's Dalen Hayes that's out. Could be Pernell McPhee as well. So you could add Pernell McPhee with Dalen Hayes, just depending on what the Ravens want. If they sign a guy, though, that has proven to be like, okay, he can drop into coverage, then Dalen Hayes may be on his way out. But if they prove a guy that can't drop into coverage, much more like a Pernell McPhee type player, then I think that Pernell McPhee could be gone. But I think there is a possibility that Dalen Hayes doesn't make the final roster of the Ravens, and I really want him to. I really do. But I have some other guys that I can name. But do you have another person, Joshua, that you can name?
Not at the top of my head, but you know what? I'll say this. I actually like where you're coming from with that because me personally, my move if I was EDC, I would have found a way to keep Jahi Ward. I don't know, Jahi's under 30, but Jahi had a great motor. He knew how to get the quarterback, and he's not a big name, but I felt like he could have been our next Jared Johnson or Paul Kruger, a household name. But unfortunately, he's going to do that at Jacksonville. I feel like he's going to keep that same intensity. So yeah, most definitely. If someone's out there available, do the cuts. Yeah, I can see Dalen Hayes being out. But right now, let's go quarterback. I know I talked about him earlier in the previous episodes. Maybe him being close to emulate Lamar, but I definitely see Tyler Huntley being out of the house for the simple fact that people do like Trace McSorley. They actually when they put Trace McSorley in, they started passing the ball.
Yeah.
So, like I said, man, I'll still stand on by what I said. I definitely feel like Tyler Huntley could possibly be the next Tyrod Taylor in regards of being a good backup quarterback, but also getting this opportunity to start and being a good solid quarterback for somebody's team that needs solid quarterback play. So I definitely see him being out because I think their plan is to actually only keep 2 quarterbacks this year.
Yeah, that would make the most sense. I mean, it's just no longer we're at a point where it's like, we've gone through 2 years of Lamar, and it seems like he's been pretty healthy other than the COVID things that have happened. It's really the only thing that's really taken him out for any, actual amount of time, rather than like he may go out for a quarter, which has happened, because he had to go to the bathroom or maybe he got cramps. We don't know. But I definitely think Tyler Huntley could be on his way out, which is unfortunate. I'm a Tyler Huntley fan, but if it allows him to get an opportunity to actually play, I would be completely okay with that. Because I want him to be able to ball out on his own terms. But my final guy, another draft pick, I just don't think he's going to make the team, and that's Ben Mason. Now, I think Ben Mason is probably the future fullback of this team. I think Patrick Ricard will be gone next year, and I think Ben Mason will be the guy that steps in to take his place. However, right now it's like, why would we keep 2 fullbacks? And I know that Ben Mason could be a special teams player. However, we already have a couple of guys that are just special teams players. We can't just we need guys that can actually play positions. And I know we can play tight end, but I wouldn't want I don't think he's technically going to be our 3rd tight end. He would have to be a 4th tight end. And that's just a lot of stuff. I just don't see him making the team, really. I do like his pick, though. I do like his draft pick. I think next year he will be our starting fullback and probably play a bit on special teams, even play a bit on defense. It's just that this year, I feel like that pick was made for the future because the Ravens were like, all right, rather than risking it on next year for the draft picks and seeing, maybe there isn't a fullback that they really like, they were like, let's get our guy this year, develop him in training camp and practice on the practice squad, and then boom, next year, plug him in. He knows the system, he knows the offense, and he can step in and dominate right away and have him work with Patrick Ricard, because the Ravens offense is not easy to learn, especially when you're playing. Honestly, he could be playing three sides of the ball. He could play offense, defense, and special teams. So giving him extra time to work on that isn't the negative. So if he doesn't make the team, I wouldn't be disappointed. If he doesn't make the team and then somehow another team picks him up, then I'd be like I'd be pretty disappointed, but I don't think that'll happen. I think he'll be a practice squad player that makes the team next year when the Ravens move on from Patrick Ricard, because it's not worth paying Patrick Ricard when, I don't want to say it, but he doesn't do that much.
He's not a Kyle Juszczyk. He's not a Kyle Juszczyk. You know, we love those days.
Yeah, I mean, finding a fullback is not difficult because there's only like 3 teams in the NFL that actually use a fullback. So it's pretty easy to be like, oh, wow, look at that. Here's a good fullback out of college, because there's a lot of fullbacks in college. So, and only like the best one ever makes the NFL. And so you just grab the best fullback from college and they can typically step in. You know, so in the Ravens scheme, they're going to be able to use them. And we got a guy on a rookie deal that's going to be cheaper than paying a veteran minimum. So unfortunately, goodbye Patrick Ricard, but you know, maybe he won't be cut. I don't know, but I think he will be. But I feel like that's pretty good for not only this final segment, but the episode. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Subscribe to the TTB Ravens Media YouTube channel for daily Ravens content. Go check out the podcast platforms on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Just look up Trust the Bank on either of those. You'll find it. It does have a different logo, so if you're like thrown off by that, it's got a text logo. It says Trust the Bank Baltimore Ravens Podcast. But that's going to wrap it up for today. Subscribe for daily Ravens content. Make sure to check in for the top 10 greatest Ravens of all time series, which will be started up. I don't know when this segment's going to be posted, but it'll be started up probably maybe even the same day as the day this segment was posted. So make sure to check into that series. Should be a lot of fun. But thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. See all of you again. Well, honestly, I'll probably see y'all again in like 2 weeks after I get back from vacation. But yeah, see y'all again then.